Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Character Dive, a show where we analyze characters from various sources of media. Let's go! Dead or Alive. A niche, but iconic part of the fighting game community. Most people know it as that volleyball game on the Xbox, but only the realest of the real know it's a fighting game. This series is the one that got me into fighting games, as each character is memorable with their admirable and sometimes wild personality. For this episode, we're going to look at the main protagonist of the franchise and the character that hooked me into the franchise the moment I laid eyes upon her. I present to you Kasumi of the Mugen Tenshin clan. Kasumi, the Kunoichi of the Mugen Tenshin clan, and the poster girl of the DOA franchise. Bruh, not gonna lie. When I was a child, about 7, I had a huge crush on this character. Dreams and everything. Anyways, Kasumi was raised by both her parents in the Mugen Tenshin village as the beloved princess. When she reached her teen years, a tragic incident happened where her brother Hayate was brutally defeated by a martial artist named Raido, who had previously done crime in the village. This led her to pursue him, leading her to the Dead or Alive tournament. Unfortunately, she did this without authorization, which qualifies as treason, as it goes against the Shinobi Code. Because of this, the head of the Mugen Tenshin village had ordered her half-sister, Ayane, to assassinate Kasumi, which was the genesis to their rivalry. Kasumi's personality is somewhat passive. She's usually introverted and can be blunt when interacting, unless it's someone she knows personally. That being her brother Hayate, her half-sister Ayane, and Ryu Hayabusa. Yes, the Ryu Hayabusa from Ninja Gaiden. For those who don't know, Ninja Gaiden is actually canon with the Dead or Alive franchise. Behind Kasumi's quiet exterior lies a bold and gutsy Kunoichi who hardly thinks twice before springing into action. This usually gets her into trouble, unfortunately. Like the scenario I mentioned of her going after Raido, Kasumi has a quiet exterior, and I believe that's part of the appeal to this character. She's got a very calm and tranquil vibe. Despite what she goes through in the story, she's got a very peaceful gaze in her eyes. It's almost hypnotic. The rivalry between Kasumi and Ayane is the most iconic element of the DOA franchise. As children, the two started off as friends. The people of the Mugen Tenshin clan favored Kasumi because she's the princess, while they had resentment towards Ayane due to the unpleasant events which led to her birth. Long story short, Raido had some sexual misconduct with Kasumi's mother, but we won't get into that. The clan mistreated Ayane because of this, which became the catalyst to the beef the two have with each other. Kasumi and Ayane have it out with each other in almost every single game in the franchise, although it's kind of one-sided. Ayane instigates a fight with Kasumi, and Kasumi's like, sure, whatever, and kicks her ass every time. It would be nice if these two got along with each other. Then again, there's always fanfiction. At the end of the first Dead or Alive tournament, Kasumi is captured by Doatech, the organization that runs the tournament. While held in captivity, she is met by a clone of her named Alpha, who comes off as somewhat uncanny and deranged. You could say that Alpha's the complete opposite of Kasumi with her expressive and more talkative nature, but I've got a theory behind this. We'll get to it in a second. Alpha shows Kasumi the lab where she and the rest of the clones were created. She also mentions to Kasumi that her brother Hayate is being held in the laboratory. Of course, this enrages Kasumi, Before things go downhill for Kasumi, she is rescued by Ryu motherfucking Hayabusa. Yeah! Damn! Anyways, after her rescue, we see Kasumi in a much more expressive state as she panics over what may happen to Hayate. Kasumi may come off as irrational, but let's be fair. It's her brother. Why wouldn't she worry? But let's get back to the clone for a moment. Why is the clone so different than Kasumi if they're supposed to be the same person? Here's the theory of mine. Alpha displays the other side of Kasumi, the playful, childlike personality, the side of herself which has been lost since the incident that happened to Hayate. I mean, seeing the injuries that Hayate suffered during that fight against Raido would be traumatizing for someone innocent like Kasumi. Sadly, since Alpha was created by an evil organization, her childlike characteristics would be tainted with evil. Near the end of Dead or Alive 2's story, Kasumi finds her brother and helps him regain his memory of her with Hayabusa's assistance. After battling a brainwashed Ayane, who was accompanied by the Kasumi clone, Kasumi is nowhere to be seen as she has taken off somewhere. I guess she knew what was to come after Hayate came back to his senses. From the events of Dead or Alive 3 and onwards, we can see the repercussions of Kasumi's mistake in leaving the village, as this deeply affects Hayate as he is ordered to apprehend Kasumi. Sadly, if she returns home with her brother, she'll be executed. Hayate doesn't want this to happen to his sister, so he tells her to stay away so he can report that he didn't come into contact with her. Ayane, on the other hand, still holds negative feelings towards her. All this may be overwhelming for Kasumi. Not being able to return home due to a shinobi code, her brother being forced to apprehend her for execution, not being able to see her mother again. She becomes desperate as she wishes for things to go back to the way they were. All of this because she acted on her emotions. But you can't blame her. Kasumi is still young. Of course she would act in the heat of the moment for someone she cares for deeply. You might wonder, is there a silver lining to all this? I'd say there is. During the events of DOA 5, we see Kasumi in a new home, under the care of Muramasa, the shopkeeper from Ninja Gaiden. She makes peace with Hayate and Ayane, even though they still have orders from the head of their clan. The most they can do is play it off as if she escaped. At first look, one may say that Kasumi's design is all sex appeal. But what if I told you that her character design is actually on par with what real Kunoichi were believed to appear like? Allow me to explain. Rather than focusing on stealth, like Shinobi, a Kunoichi's job was to play as a decoy to get the drop on their target. A good example of a Kunoichi's mission would be to disguise themselves as a maiden and enter a facility such as a castle or a brothel. This could be what led to the concept of Kunoichi dressing in revealing outfits, or shall I say, appealing outfits. Another belief would be that they use sex appeal to seduce their target while their teammates sneak in for the kill. Very sexy. Now, comparing this to Kasumi's role in the DOA series, her work is closer to that of a shinobi rather than a kunoichi, as she deals more with combat rather than sneaking on targets. I'd say Kasumi is a solid character. Both her personality and character design are very well done. Big shout out to Itagaki for creating this character. This character made my childhood amazing, and I'm happy she's still around. And that's a wrap, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more. And I'll see you in the next episode.